Have you ever thought about how a nation is actually born? Not over, centuries of slow change, but through the sheer will of one single person. Well, today we're diving into the story of a figure just like that, right from the dawn of history. We're talking about a king who took a divided land and hammered it into one of the world's very first and most enduring empires.
So way back around 3100 BCE, there wasn't just one Egypt. There were two. Down south, you had Upper Egypt. It was this long, narrow valley, and its rulers wore that tall, white crown, the Hedjit. Then up north, in the super fertile Nile Delta, that was Lower Egypt, a totally distinct culture. And their symbol was the red crown, the Deshret. So you've got two lands, two crowns, and two different identities, all sharing one single lifeblood, the Nile River.
For centuries, these two regions were really just a patchwork of rival kingdoms. And yeah, they fought for power a lot, but that shared river, the Nile, also forced them to trade and interact. And that's what slowly but surely set the stage for a really dramatic unification. So, how in the world do we even know about the man who finally united these lands? Well, the answer isn't in some ancient book. It's literally carved into stone. We're about to unlock the story hidden inside something called the Narmer palette, a 5,000-year-old artifact that's basically a blueprint for the birth of a nation. This thing was discovered in the ancient city of Hierakonpolis. And let me tell you, this single piece of carved stone is one of the most important historical documents ever found. It's not just some pretty object. Think of it more like a piece of royal propaganda, like a press release from the distant past, telling a story of conquest and unity. All right, look at one side of the palette. What we see here is the classic pose of power. You've got Narmer, shown larger than everyone else, wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt, and he's about to bring his mace down on a captured enemy. And see that up there? That's the falcon god Horus, the protector of kings. He's right there, giving his divine stamp of approval. This is the image of a pure conqueror. Okay, now let's flip it over to the other side, because this is where the story takes a huge turn. Narmer is still clearly in charge, but look closely at the crown. He's now wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt. He's not in the middle of a battle anymore. Instead, he's just calmly inspecting rows of his defeated enemies. The message could not be clearer. He has conquered the north, and now he rules both lands. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the main idea. These creatures, they're called serpopards, part serpent, part leopard. You see how their long necks are all tangled up, but they're being controlled by handlers? This isn't just some cool fantasy drawing. It's a really powerful metaphor for the unification of the two wild, chaotic lands of Egypt, now brought into balance and controlled by one ruler. So, with this victory, Narmer became something totally new. He was the first king of a truly united Egypt. He was now the king of two lands, and his next big job was to create a whole new identity for this brand new kingdom. And how did he do that? Well, he established the whole concept of divine kingship. See, Narmer didn't just rule by force, he ruled by divine right. The pharaoh was now seen as the living version of the god Horus on earth, and his job was to maintain Ma'at, which is the fundamental order and balance of the entire universe. This idea totally elevated the king from just a warlord to a cosmic necessity. But, a nation is more than just an idea. It needs real infrastructure. So Narmer, or maybe his immediate successors, acted like a master architect, laying down the blueprint for a centralized state that would end up standing for millennia.
He took three absolutely crucial steps. First, he founded a new capital city, Memphis, right on the border between Upper and Lower Egypt, physically and symbolically joining them. Second, he set up a central government to manage everything from grain harvests to massive building projects. And third, this new government needed a way to keep track of everything, which drove the development of hieroglyphic writing for keeping records. This was a complete revolution in how to run a country.
Honestly, the impact of these decisions is almost impossible to overstate. Narmer didn't just win a war and build a city. He laid the actual foundation for one of the most incredible civilizations in all of human history. Just think about that for a second. This was a time when most of the world was just small tribes or little city-states. Narmer's unified Egypt became one of the very first large, centrally governed nation-states. He basically wrote the playbook for what a country could be. And this stability he created was just mind-blowing. The whole dynastic system he started, the civilization he founded, it would last for roughly 3,000 years.
That is a legacy on a scale that's almost hard to wrap your head around, stretching from the Stone Age all the way to the Roman Empire.
And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. Without Narmer, you don't get the pyramids. There's no Tutankhamun, no great library of Alexandria. The unity he created provided the stability and the resources needed for all of ancient Egypt's amazing achievements, and it set a powerful example for the entire ancient world.
So, in the end, we're kind of left with a question. The Narmer Palace shows us a conqueror for sure, but some historians wonder if maybe some diplomacy was involved too. And that leads to a much bigger thought. Does it really matter how a nation is born, whether by force or by treaty, if the result is a civilization that lasts for 3,000 years? That's definitely something worth thinking about.